around you because pretty much everybody you know probably needs this. In our lifetime, about 70% of us are going to have a significant neck issue or injury or pain in our neck. It might, if we just extrapolate that beyond physical, it's probably going to be all of us has a pain in our neck at some point, right? But being able to prevent pain in your neck and knowing some practical things, being able to address it if you currently have pain is really, really key. Also, your back. So 70% of people are going to have a significant neck problem in their life. 80% are going to have a problem with their back that might stop them from being able to go to work for a little bit or really affect their life in a significant way. Fortunately for many people, it ends up resolving eventually to some degree, but a lot of people end up with an achy neck or back that just kind of chronically keeps coming back off and on over the years. And they just resign themselves to it because they haven't been able to figure out what stretches, what exercises, what treatments are the right ones for them. And so that's something that we are going to talk about today, how to identify what's going to work for you, how to identify what's going to be effective, and what are some key points. One of the things I really want to teach today is the core 4 exercises to help you with your back. One of the things that happens to people, now if you're under 50, it doesn't affect you as much, but after 50, then something called sarcopenia happens, and it's a terrible thing. It's aging. So what happens is after 50, our DNA starts to degrade and our body doesn't repair itself as well at a significant rate. For most people, it's about after 50. And muscles that normally when they were younger were just there but weak, if they didn't exercise them, those muscles actually waste away. And so it's muscle wasting. It's why a lot of times you see older people that, like they don't have much muscle. Well, if they're not exercising regularly, the aging process is taking a toll on them. So a lot of times when people have neck and back pain, a big part of neck and back pain, we're going to get into this, a big part of it is actually muscle imbalances. And so the same things you did before 50 to keep your body feeling pretty good aren't going to work after 50. Because if you're not specifically targeting a muscle, it's going bye-bye. And that's a big deal, right? So but if you're younger and you have exercise routine that isn't specifically targeting certain muscles, you still might be having these kinds of problems, just maybe not to the extent and degree that somebody who's older is having them. So this applies to everyone. All right, so I'm going to grab my little mouse here so I can advance the slides.
Want the Facebook Live horizontal, or do you want vertical?
Oh yeah, probably vertical, I guess. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Nice.
My tech guy.
No.
What would I do without Javier? All right, so I'm going to see if I can advance these slides as we go here. I might have to be over here.
Interesting, it was working just fine.
It worked earlier. Oh, maybe it has to be close enough. I might need you.
Alright. It's not
I
just
always need you, Javier, but we need you to advance the slides. All right, so here we go. The biggest myth that keeps people limited by pain is that lots of rest is going to help you heal and keep the pain from getting worse. That's the biggest myth. So, number one thing that people are going to hear if they go to the doctor after an episode with their neck or their back is, rest it. Okay? Well, it's all right to rest it for a couple days, but after that, you need to get it moving, because otherwise what's going to happen is the longer that you're not moving something within the normal ranges, then it stiffens up. And you guys can probably attest to this. You've probably noticed this in your life to this point. And when that happens, when the stiffness starts to take effect, then the joints start to stiffen. You start to get a local inflammatory problem impacting the joint, and actually it turns into a vicious cycle that makes things worse and worse. So the trick is that you need to move. Motion is lotion. You need to move it, okay? You need to move it, but you need to move it smartly, okay? So that's where I wish that whenever people had a back episode, that whenever they saw the physician, that the physician would say, go to physical therapy right away, and that they would get going with a physical therapist right away, a lot of problems would get solved a lot sooner and not turn into a terrible conundrum. So, and then there's also the fact that not all physical therapists are specialists in treating neck and spine. There's many great physical therapists out there. Many of the physical therapists are generalists. And so if you're fortunate and lucky that the generalist was able to help you well enough, great. But if you got limited success working with a generalist physical therapist, then maybe you need a specialist physical therapist to help you with what your issue is. So don't give up, and keep looking for what you need.
What do they specialize in then? Like, what should you be looking for? Your specific body part for?
Right, great question. Yes, so the question was, what do generalist how do you determine, where would you find a specialist physical therapist, or how do you determine someone who's going to be able to solve the issue for you? So what you could ask when you call the clinic, hello, I'm glad to see you guys.
Sorry,
we got a
I'm
couple
late.
seats for you.
I got
Right?
rated red like no.
Just like you love.
Just the, I know. The first
Right
one
up
naughty.
Yes, we brought a net.
Yeah, you brought a little friend too.
Yes.
What's his name?
That's Cooper.
Cooper.
This
All
is
right.
the one you don't get to watch her when the class is, but when Karen's learning at home,
Yes.
he's all over. And
Like a
all of her
mountain
exercises he does.
He's an exercising doggy. You can sit there.
I know.
You're not in the way.
Oh, shit.
I'm worried that's not gonna be comfy for you. Do you want to?
No, I feel like
We
this.
also have a chair
Oh,
there.
good, nice.
Or you can sit here.
I feel like I'm front of everybody.
Well, you are.
I know.
See?
Or if you want, take the chair and move it back there.
I'm good.
Maybe over there.
Alright, well, okay, I want you to have neck and back pain from sitting.
I know, right?
From sitting cross-legged against the wall of our workshop.
This way I'm all straight.
All right, we're gonna do some things anyway. We're gonna get up and move a little. So.
Okay.
All right, so I was just about to answer a question about how do you determine who a specialist physical therapist would be, or if you have a particular issue, maybe with your wrist or your neck or your back, and you want to find a specialist physical therapist, how would you find them? Because most physical therapists are generalists, and most physical therapists can help about 70% of the stuff. But if you fall outside of that with your issue, then you're gonna know because you went to a physical therapist and you didn't get all the way well. And if you didn't get all the way well, it's because you needed a specialist, okay? Right?
That's me.
So, that's a good way to figure out whether, it's not, so many times people go to physical therapy and they think it didn't work. They say to me, like, I went to physical therapy, I tried that, it didn't work. Well, that person just didn't have the tools in their toolkit to help you, but it doesn't mean it's not gonna work for you.
Well, it doesn't work. I mean,
it didn't work when they went, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So you might just be missing something, right?
Oh, you mean
Like-
they think no physical therapy will work?
Right. They think, yeah, nothing's gonna work. Like I tried it, right?
Yeah.
So, but the way you would know, a good way to know is to call the office, the place you're thinking about going, and ask the front desk to send you an email with what continuing education has the therapist taken that you're interested in. Ask for that. If you ask my office, it's going to be pages and pages and pages of stuff. Because I have a very big toolkit, which makes me a specialist in several areas.
What
And,
areas?
The spine, so neck and back, foot and ankle. I actually did a master's degree studying the foot and ankle, specifically. I did a doctoral or a master's research project on that. And on vestibular, so and if you know anyone who's really dizzy, anybody who, if you've ever heard, there's crystals that can get dislodged out of their home in the ear and they can get popped out into a canal. And it usually happens when someone's had a fall, but it can happen just idiopathically, meaning just randomly. We don't know why. And part of it has to do with that lovely aging process because the crystals, they rest on these little hair follicles, and when we age, those hair follicles start to degrade, and so they get a little loose, and so sometimes it's easier for them to pop out. And for some reason, it's easier for them to pop out in women than men, so more women have this problem, but...
Spray listeners.
Yeah, they don't use their ears for most of their life.
That is it. The man who listens
There's
to
still
joy.
more time going.
You opened it up.
I think you are a brave man.
Yeah, you are.
There's two
That
men
was
on this call, and one of them's online.
He's keeping real quiet.
Very quiet.
He's hoping you will.
I know.
So I'm a specialist in identifying which canal that the crystal get dislodged into, and then using gravity and moving your body in certain ways to get it out of there and back where it should go. And that's a real specialty area. You take a bunch of courses. Everybody gets exposed to it in physical therapy school, but there's a lot of specialty that goes into it. So most physical therapists could probably help most people with it, but sometimes they can't because it's more specialty. So then there's also, I'm a vestibular specialist, so if anybody's had an injury to their vestibular apparatus, which is like the size of a dime and it's inside your ear, and it connects with your brain, and that can get damaged when you have a concussion. And so if you've fallen and hit your head, or if something hit your head, or you somehow had a concussion, whiplash, car accidents, those kinds of things, being able to help you get that connection back. Also, I'm a specialist in treating concussions as well. So there's other areas, especially really common with concussions, is people start to have trouble with eye tracking. And then that affects everything in their life. And it can even cause neck stiffness, so it feeds into what we're talking about. I'm not going too far afield from this conversation, because if you're under eye strain, either because your computer is too far away from you in your work setting, or because you're spending too much time with looking at small print up close on your phone, or if you've had a concussion and your eyes are under strain because the connection isn't great with your brain, then that can actually cause your neck to stiffen, and it can cause neck pain even. And so oftentimes when I treat somebody who's coming in for neck pain, I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, have you had a recent fall? Have you ever had concussions in the past? Because that can contribute to neck pain that is not resolving. So we assess their vision, we go, oh my goodness, your eyes aren't tracking right. And then exercises, there's special exercises to get the eyes to track right, so that the brain is not overloaded, so that the neck is not overloaded.
Is that why we do that exercise where you
Face
look?
front and look like
Oh, where you look here and you balance and you do
Well,
this?
no,
Yeah, we do that, but
Oh,
also just look straight ahead and go,
Oh, like this one, looking like this?
No,
No,
you're
it
getting
just looks-
trickier. Julie, just stand, look straight ahead and turn her head.
Oh, look straight ahead, then turn your head, but
But not-
keep looking.
yes.
Yeah, that's an exercise. That's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an optometrist pitch,
Pick up on it?
Yeah.
Some of them would, but not all of them. There's specialist optometrists for this.
how did you go in and ask it?
Yeah, you ask if they're specialists in treating concussions or damage, to the way the eyes track and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, great questions. Awesome. Okay, let's get a little bit more into it. So we definitely want to move. If you've had an injury, the sooner you can get into a physical therapist. One of the good things about California is that you don't need to get a prescription from your doctor to go see a physical therapist. So you can just start seeing somebody, and the sooner after an injury that you can see a physical therapist, the better, because you're going to get better faster if you do. All right.
If you want insurance, you better check with them.
Yeah. Now, yes, that's the only thing is if you want your insurance to pay for it, you do have to see a doctor first, get that prescription.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. All right. So common assumptions that people have is that if they have pain in their neck or their back, how many of you guys, give me a little raise of your hand, that you've heard that pain is caused by disc problems or pinched nerves? You heard that, right? Yeah, disc problems, pinched nerves, super common. And you've probably heard your friends say, doc told me I have a pinched nerve in my back. And honestly, that is one of the causes. It can be a cause. Interestingly, you can have a pinched nerve in your back, just using that term. There's, lumbar radiculopathy would be the technical term, right? But we'll just call it a pinched nerve. You can have a pinched nerve in your back and have no back pain whatsoever. So that's an important thing for people to realize. It's an aha moment a lot of times for people. Sometimes I have people come in, they have pain in their arm, pain in their wrist or hands, or they'll have pain in their knee or pain in their back, in their leg, okay? Or they'll have tightness in a muscle. They'll be like, man, I've got this muscle. It's just always tight even when I stretch it. It could be a calf muscle that just seems like it's always tight, or a hamstring muscle, where they'll be like, it always feels like it's strained. I don't know why. Well, that can be a sign of a pinched nerve in your back, and you don't necessarily have to have pain in your back for that to be being experienced. Same thing can happen with your arm. It feels like it's always feeling tight. or sore, you stretch it and it just doesn't go away. Well, it could be a pinched nerve. And here's the thing that's really crazy but interesting is that imaging studies don't always show pinched nerves. And the reason for that is because the nerve can get pinched further away from the spine where the MRI doesn't show it. Now, there's like one neurologist that I know of in California that has a very special MRI that can show pinched nerves everywhere. And it's because he built it and he's some kind of like complete genius. But it's not commonly used, okay?
With ultrasound, do people use ultrasound?
You know, ultrasound sometimes can show where the tissue is really tight and the layers are stuck together in certain areas. It can sometimes, diagnostic ultrasound can sometimes be helpful. But the cool thing is that if you see a special, Javier, can I have your help? Because I'm going to need you to advance those slides. What's up?
I can bounce back and forth.
Oh yeah, it's okay. If you can hang out, I would appreciate it. So yeah, what did you just ask me? I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about ultrasound?
Oh yeah, ultrasound. Oh yeah, okay, specialist physical therapist. We learn ways to test for pinched nerves in the office. So we don't need imaging. I can do some tests and I can figure it out really quickly if something's got a pinched nerve or not.
How do you tell?
How? It's
How?
a specific test.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
there's certain tests.
Okay.
Yeah.
You find that it's tight or like how?
Yeah. So basically, like, there's somebody. If I want to test if there's a pinched nerve for the arm coming from the neck, have them lay on their back on the table. It's called the upper limb tension test. You can look it up on Google. It's a common test, and we'll know.
Okay.
You know.
So just depending on the height, you have a certain test for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's like, oh, this is actually a nerve problem, and we can even tell kind of where it's pinched based on where the symptoms are. So to some degree. So all right, let's like, is it pinched right at the neck, or is it pinched further on down the chain, or both? If it's in both spots, it's called double crush syndrome, and that's not fun. But it's definitely treatable. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Because even though it is true you can have pinched nerves and you can have disc problems and all that, that's not the only generator of pain, and there's many generators of pain. All right, so we're going to move to the next slide. We're going to talk about what those are. Okay, so really common contributors to neck and back pain. And by the way, if anybody ever wants the slides, just contact my office and we can send them to you. Because I tried to build this presentation in a way where the slides could actually kind of jog your memory and remind you of things. All right, so muscle imbalances are a huge cause. And so you might have a pinched nerve, but it might be pinched because your muscles aren't holding you in the right position, and that's what's putting the nerve under tension and under stress. All right, so that's a super common cause. And you know, a lot of people are trying to do stretches for their stiffness and their pain, and then they keep doing the same stretch for the same stiffness and pain. It keeps coming back, and most of the time it's because the stretch isn't going to solve the problem. It's a lot of times we need to get the muscle imbalance issue fixed. And tissues can get too tight. A lot of times when you have a muscle imbalance, then what happens is certain muscles have to overwork, and that can cause those muscles to get tired. And then the fascia, which is the connective tissue that holds everything together and connects the muscle fibers to each other, the fascia just tightens to hold you. And guess what? Fascia is a great thing because fascia can withstand 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. It's super strong stuff, all right? Fascia is that kind of like when you cut into chicken when it's raw or beef and you can see the silvery stuff or kind of the white stuff around all the muscle fibers. That's the fascia that you can see. And there's also fascia you can't see. What's that?
I said, now I don't need money.
I know, right, when you say that.
I don't need red meat, I'm pretty.
Yeah, so the fascia you can't see is at the microscopic level. They can see it. It's actually literally holding your muscle fibers together, like all the way down to the microscopic level. So it's everywhere. And everything should be in balance. Muscle fibers, contracting, relaxing, fascia, holding things together, and providing a tensegrity structure for everything to live within. So tensegrity is a big fancy word, but think of the Golden Gate Bridge, okay? You know how it's held up by all these wires? Well, that's what our bodies are like. And the fascia is kind of like the wires that hold it up, all right? And if you have an imbalance in your muscles and then the fascia has to tighten to kind of try to hold you, then what that's going to do is it's going to cause local areas of inflammation, which your body doesn't like that, and it's going to make a pain signal. Okay? Why does it do that? Well, because if there's an area that's kind of like holding and tight, then there's not good fluid exchange there. And so it's going to mean that at the cellular level, things are behaving like a swamp, not like a river. Our body's like river-like conditions, not swamp-like conditions. And anytime anything's swampy, then the brain gets a signal something's wrong, and it's going to make a little bit of pain signal in that area. Okay? All right. So joints that don't move right is another cause, and joints that don't move right happen because of stiffness. It can happen because of an injury too. And a specialist physical therapist can get those moving again and can assess whether you have a stuck joint that's not allowing you to move right. Also, just a simple test. So let's just do a quick little test here. So you guys have been sitting here listening to me talk for a while. So let's move. So let's just turn our neck, okay? So we're just going to turn our head and then turn the other way. And just notice what you feel. If you feel, when you turn your head to the right, if you feel a pinch on the right, you probably have a stuck joint somewhere, okay? And it could be not exactly where you feel the pain, okay? If when you turn your head to the right and you feel more tightness or pain on the other side, then that's probably more of a muscle issue or a fascia issue. Now that's a generalization. It's not 100%, but it's most of the time the case. And so that's a simple way that you can kind of do a self-assessment. Same thing with side bend. For the neck, that's kind of the typical rule.
So that when it
Okay.
hurts on the side you're bending, you've got
It's
what?
probably a joint problem.
Oh,
So,
goody.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
okay. All right, now the good news is we're going to do a bunch of things that can help that today, so you guys can see a change. So the nervous system can make pain. It can make pain because of local areas of inflammation, like we just talked about. Because what happens is the brain is constantly scanning your body. It's looking for danger because the brain's job is protect you from danger. All right, and so if it finds that anything is kind of not normal, it has a range of what the brain has determined through all of our development, through the ages. Our biological sort of determination is that there's a certain level that's acceptable, and then at a certain point the brain goes, this is probably not a good thing, I need to let so-and-so know. And it makes pain. Okay, so that is a real thing that has to do with pain. And so sometimes what can even happen is people's body, they can be experiencing pain even when there's literally nothing wrong. And that's because the brain got really, really good at protecting an area, so it's overly protective of the area. And then pain gets made too soon before there's actual danger. And that's a common thing that happens with chronic pain, when people have had pain for more than 3 months, or if they've had an injury that seemed extremely threatening to their life or to someone they cared about. So oftentimes chronic pain syndrome is what it's called, where the brain is overly protective. That can even happen in a car accident kind of situation. It's like a one thing, but the person maybe was terrified that someone in their family was going to, get seriously injured or die, or they themselves were worried about it. That can create a hyperprotective brain for the body. And there's actual treatment for it that works. So that can be assessed. There's even special tests for it. So we can actually determine if the brain is indeed hyperprotective of a certain area by doing specific tests in the clinic. It doesn't have to be done with x-rays or MRIs. In fact, they're not going to show it. All right? And I'm going to get more into that in my next talk in 2 weeks on how pain is made and what you can do about it if your body's making pain that's too much for what you're actually going through or experiencing. It's powerful. Powerful stuff, some tools you can learn to use for that. So stay tuned, come back. All right, so.
It's magic.
Yeah. So insufficient rest and recovery activities is another cause of pain. A lot of times people don't quite know what they should be doing to recover. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Inflammatory food can be a cause of pain. So just hazard a guess, anyone online, if you want to put it in the chat. Yeah, what do you think would be one of the top 5 most inflammatory things that you could eat?
Sugar.
Sugar, yes, that's probably number 1.
I hate to say it.
Spices.
And wheat, dairy.
And we love, yeah, and spices can be sometimes,
Yes.
depending on the person and their constitution.
Hydrogenated oils.
Yeah, hydrogenated oils are so inflammatory, yeah. Also fried oils, you know, anything, the oil changes when you put it into really high heat, it changes what the oil becomes, so your body can't actually use it, so the body reacts to it like it's an enemy, and you get inflammation. So french fries, they're tasty, but they do cause inflammation. Okay, and hardening of your arteries right away as soon as you eat them. But your body does bounce back from that to some degree, but fried food is bad for you.
But if you like make avocado oil, potato chips in the oven,
Uh-huh.
not potato chips, corn chips,
Uh-huh.
tortilla chips,
Uh-huh.
that's not fried.
So it just depends how hot you're getting it.
So how hot the oven is.
Yeah, how hot is, because the oil has a certain point where it changes over.
What do you,
Even olive oil?
Molecularly, every
Olive oil.
oil, every oil molecularly will change at a certain point with heat.
you're
So
breaking
you
my
just
heart
have to-
with that.
Well, you just have to do some research, go
Okay,
on Google,
I will.
figure out
I
like
will.
what would be the
will.
right level, right?
Yep.
Yep,
I
yep,
love olive oil.
yeah.
I know, she
So-
won't put like, yeah, okay.
All right, inadequate nutrient intake is another cause of pain, actually, and digestive system problems, because the same nerves that innervate your guts, they also, very same nerves, innervate your back muscles. Crazy. So I've definitely had people in the clinic who have back pain, and then I ask them some questions, determine they probably have some digestive system problems. We treat the digestive system problems only with frequency specific microcurrent, which is a great tool for treating the digestive system. And what that does is it actually stimulates healing for the gut, so it heals it at the root level, and then it can calm the inflammation down at the cellular level as well. And their back pain goes away because it was literally coming from their gut. So that's a very common cause people don't realize. So pay attention to when, if you have chronic back pain, pay attention to when it's showing up, because it could be related to food that you were eating or some kind of a digestive upset or imbalance. All right, so let's move to the next slide. So I use this chart just to kind of help you guys see that there's multiple ways. It's kind of like I showed it to you in a list. So pain relief comes by addressing all of the above. And that's why it's a real comprehensive issue. And that's why a lot of people suffer with chronic neck and back pain, because maybe they got 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but maybe they're missing 1 or 2, or they might be missing a lot of these. All right, so let's go to the next slide.
What happens with arthritis, which is visible in my hand, but it's in my body, and 90% of the people ultimately seem to get arthritis. Where does it fit into the pain?
Yeah, that's a great question. So arthritis, actually from research, what we know about arthritis is that you can have on MRIs or x-rays, it shows arthritis on joints and not have any pain at all.
Yeah, well, I wish I not that one.
But here's the deal, is that sometimes what people think is arthritis, it's actually fascia pain, or it's actually inflammation. And so I can't tell you the number of times, so many times, people have been in my office, they say, oh, this is my arthritis in my SI joint, I know it, and then we just do some treatment to get that joint to move properly again, and their pain goes away. And I'm like, I don't think it was arthritis, it was a joint that was just a little stuck, So really helpful thing for arthritis is the MELT method, okay, because the MELT method helps get joints unstuck. So our MELT method classes are a great way to, in an inexpensive way, start doing things to help stuck joints, stuck fascia, get muscles moving, get mobility back, and even activate muscles and get proper balance back. MELT is awesome for that, and it's inexpensive.
Best teachers.
We have good teachers, it's inexpensive, and highly, highly effective.
Yeah.
People don't believe me sometimes when I say if you would just come to our MELT classes, a bunch of your problems would go away. People come in pain, they leave not in pain. It's real, it's true. And I tell people on the phone, they're thinking about coming here, they're thinking about doing therapy with us, they say, just do our classes. And they don't believe me, and I'm like, I wish you would believe me, these classes are amazing.
We can attest to the classes.
I know, and you make it so easy.
Yep, so it's
Anyways.
great. You can try a class, you can do it online.
Dr. A,
Yeah.
I don't believe that anybody's reading the Zoom chats.
Oh, okay, what's up? You can't see the slides.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, Javier's gonna kind of try to fix it for you guys. Thank you. Thanks for telling me. Yes, so melt is really helpful for arthritis, helpful for stuck joints, stiff joints, stuck fascia, stuck muscles, getting balance back, all the things. They've done research that showed that people with back pain who were going to physical therapy and also doing melt class got better faster and got more completely well than people who only did standard physical therapy. So that's why I believe in it so much, and that's why I offer it here. And you can do it online from the comfort of your home. So that's what's super awesome. You just need a soft roller. These rollers bend and they adjust your body. The softness is important. So a lot of people are doing myofascial release with hard tools and it feels intense, so they think that's what's working is the intensity, right? And when we're in pain, sometimes we want it to feel a strong sensation when we're in pain because it distracts us in a way. It's like, I'm making the pain worse so that it'll go away.
Yes.
It's like, but I'm in control. Right?
100%.
And it's like somehow comforting, right? But
But it feels like when it's so tight, if I can get a baseball or a tennis ball in that one spot, it'll release it.
yes,
But it doesn't.
that's what we think, and we think like the more sensation you feel, the better, but that's actually not always true. What it does when you have a painful technique being applied to your body is it stimulates endorphins, all right? So that does temporarily make you feel better, but it doesn't typically solve it long term. And the other thing too is the really intense pressure, heavy pressure, hard tools. They can actually cause some tissue damage, and that can be a problem. Also, there's keys to the way you unlock fascia. So that's what's so special about melt. People think, oh, I know foam rolling, you know, and it's not just foam rolling, it's a neurofascial technique. So the way that the melt process is done, there's specific things scientists have identified as keys to unlocking your whole body. And so we're applying the tools in specific ways to calm the nervous system, to shift your system more into a rest, relax state, to shift your brain more into alpha waves, which allows your system to calm and heal itself, to shift your heart so that it's kind of settles down and it's just going, not just going da 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 da, and to actually release these key points in different spots that are going to release the whole thing. So a thing we say in melt is get in, get out. Don't spend a long time rolling on a certain spot that's sore, because that spot's probably the victim, not the cause. And so when you get involved in melt and you start using it regularly, you're going to learn all these strategies, and it's simple to learn. It's based on a lot of complex ideas, but it's broken down in a way that's simple to learn and apply. So that's what I just love, is the stories I hear from clients who are using melt is they say, you know, I was traveling, I woke up, my neck was stiff, and I did some melt that you taught me or I learned in class, and then it was better. And I'm saying, yes, that's what we want. Yeah, I don't want people to be dependent on us all the time. I want them to be empowered by us. All right, so melt is awesome for arthritis, for pain. Another thing that's great is vibration, because hyaluronic acid is released by vibration. So basically your body creates hyaluronic acid and it stimulates your body to produce more of it. What is that? Well, it's the stuff that creates more slide and glide in your fascial layers and in your joints. So it's like WD-40 for your joints. I used to take hyaluronic acid pills because I have like very degraded cartilage in this right ankle from an injury in college soccer. So I don't have a lot of cartilage there, and I used to have achy, you know, I always could tell when the weather was going to change, all that kind of stuff, right? But I don't have that anymore. I don't experience that. My ankle doesn't give me any trouble anymore, and it's because I use vibration literally every day, and there's different ways that you can do it. For those of you who came here, there's a little vibration handout for you guys to check out. And if you would like to have the copy to be able to use like digitally, because then you can click on the links to take you places, just contact my office. We can send it to you. Or if you guys are online and you want it, it's got special like tips on how to use vibration. Here's the thing, a lot of times if you guys buy a vibration tool, it's going to come with instructions, but I don't think many of these companies checked with a specialty physical therapist about what would be really advisable. Because I see some of these instructions, I go, I would really not recommend doing that. So when you have a vibration tool, if it's a gun or something like that, please do not apply it directly to the joints, okay? Do not put it right on your neck. We're circling back to that concept of, like, if it hurts, make it hurt worse. No, don't do that, okay? Because those vibration guns are really powerful, and they could actually damage your joints or damage your discs if you're applying it right to your neck. And also there's these keys to unlocking fascia, and so the way that we've created sequences on how to use your vibration tools is going to be more effective. So for example, one of the keys to releasing neck pain is actually right back here in your rotator cuff. If you guys kind of poke back there, you'll find there's probably a sore spot that's especially sharp and tender. Okay, most people with neck pain have that. And if you can find one that's like, ooh, wow, that is like super sharp. Well, that is actually an area where the fascia is holding too much intensity as far as like an electrical signal, and that contributes to neck pain. So you can rub it over and over and over again for 2 to 5 minutes. That's one way of releasing it, or you could use a vibration tool right on that spot, which is easier to do. Your fingers don't get tired.
Do you have those here to show us?
What's up?
Do you have them here? The
So
whole
the different sequences, I don't think they're all in there, but if you ask my office, we can send them, and there might be a link to the sequence in there, I can't remember.
Is
so.
a vibration plate, would it be?
So vibration plates are awesome. That's what I rest my feet on every morning, and that's really helped my ankles. You can get one for like $150 or something like that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so the key with that is just make sure that you're sitting in a supported way if you do have back pain.
Standing.
Or stand, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but if you're standing, don't stand like this on it because that could irritate your back. Make sure you bend your knees a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, it can help. Vibration plates are awesome. Can improve balance. Can stimulate all kinds of healing, and also that's hyaluronic acid release is key. Okay, so the other thing is arthritis loves to move. So motion is lotion, like I said before, just moving in appropriate ways. And aquatic therapy is really good for arthritic issues as well. So let's move to the next slide. Wait for it. So we want to solve the key root cause. Let's move to the next one. I'm going to zoom through some of these slides here. And I talked a little bit about MRIs and x-rays. They don't tell the whole story, and it's very important to understand that, because if you've been shown your MRI or your x-ray and it shows degeneration, it shows disc problems or pinched nerves or a spinal cord that's narrowed, it could really freak you out, and the doctor could be quite serious when he's or she is talking to you about how serious it looks. However, it's really important to know that over 50% of people who have degenerative changes on their MRI or their x-ray have zero pain. So just because you have it doesn't mean it's causing your pain. That's a really important thing to understand. We also know that when people have pain, they go to the doctor, they get an MRI, they see the MRI and it shows structural issues. Their pain usually gets worse just by seeing the MRI. Okay?
Or like me, nothing shows, but I'm in pain.
Right. So that's another thing. You could, the MRI could not be showing, but that's, you know why? Because MRIs don't tell the whole story about pain, right? All right, so let's move to the next slide. Neither do x-rays. Talking about joint mobility, so I just wanted to show the upper cervical area here so you guys can kind of see there's these little muscles that help hold the bones in place. And so if you have imbalances in your muscles in the back of your neck, then that can really influence your joints. And so you could have a fixated joint because you have the wrong muscle balance, okay? So we're gonna do an exercise today, I'm gonna teach you guys an exercise today to help that is like the #1 exercise for neck pain everybody should be doing. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, let me tell you. So this is awesome. So if you have joint restrictions, research has showed that this exercise helps loosen them. If you have muscle imbalances, research has shown that this exercise helps build the right balance into your neck. And if you have a pinched nerve in your neck, research has shown this helps that as well. So it does a lot. It's one exercise. And everybody should be doing it. Even if you don't have neck pain, do it anyway because it's gonna help prevent it, alright? So what it is a simple kind of a chin tuck exercise, and we can all do it. So what you wanna do is, I'll stand this way from the side for you guys. So what you wanna do is imagine you have like a string, and you guys can all do it with me. You have a string going from the top of your head up to the ceiling, okay? And that string is gonna be pulling your head up while you're tucking your chin down, and you'll feel an elongation happening here in your neck, okay? So if I see your head going down like this, that's not exactly correct, but it's a good try. So what we want to do is we want this kind of movement, okay? So see how when I do it right, it's even bringing, like I'm kind of slouching, so when I do it correct, it's even bringing me into good posture, okay? So you're thinking about, it's like a roll. It's like your head is going backward and up at the same time. You're tucking your chin. And it'll help if you look down at the same time. So if you look down at the same time, what that does is it unlocks your upper cervical area, because there's this cool neurological hack that your body does, that if your eyes look down, it makes it easy for you to turn your head down. It's like a neurological unlocking thing that happens. And so that exercise is a simple exercise that you can do. And I a lot of times do it when I'm sitting at a stoplight in my car, because my head can rest against the back. And then if your head can be resting against the back of something while you're doing it, it's even better. The other thing you can do is you can passively do it. So you can put your fingers on your chin, and you can just, it's the same movement, but just add a little bit of a push with your hand, okay? And make sure that you're not coming down here like this. So you want to be here up high, okay, yeah. And be gentle, don't be aggressive. And that is going to help. When you do it passively, then it's more of like a joint mobility movement, like helping nerve roots that are unhappy. When you do it actively, then you're also getting the muscle activation component
right
to it.
right here.
If you
Made
feel
it better
there.
or worse?
I didn't know that was hurting, so yeah, it's worse.
Okay. So if it's making any pain worse, you need to back off. That's all. That's
Okay.
all it means.
Okay.
And that's any of the exercises that I give you.
Could you just go a little bit closer, just so when you're showing the
Oh yeah,
exercise.
so people online can see it,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty far away, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, any of the exercises that I show you guys today, sorry if I'm yelling at you guys. I'll dial it back. If it hurts or makes something hurt, just back off on the pressure. So, especially like, it's more of an advanced skill to do it like without having your head resting against something. It's a lot easier to do with your head resting against something, especially you can just lean against the wall with your knees bent a little bit, with your head against the wall and do it. And you can start out just doing it passively before you start using your muscles in your back to do it. So for those of you guys online, what we're gonna do is we're going to, it's like tucking your chin and lifting your head at the same time, okay? And if you ever have anybody try to teach you that you should shear your head back like this as a neck exercise, don't do it, because that's old science, and not everybody has gotten to the new understanding, and it's too much shear force on your upper cervical area. It's not really good for your neck. So, but if we're going back, you want to go back and down. Okay, so it's a nod. All right, and doing this laying down with your head on a pillow is a really good way to do it, or sitting with your head resting against something. And you can do it passively. So anybody who has like a nerve root impingement issue, I always recommend that you do at least 30 of these a day, and you can even do more. And a lot of times people's symptoms get a lot better. Now, if they have a nerve root impingement issue in their back, a really good one for most people is to lay down, and you can put your foot up on like a door frame. So here, I'm going to use this pole. I think you guys can see me online. So imagine that my foot is in the door right here, okay, and then my other leg is on the door frame. And I always have to correct people in the clinic because they try to do a really good job, and they try to get all the way up here and get their butt up against the wall because they're trying to do good. But that's not so good if you have a back problem. You actually don't want to be back a ways. And you want to have a little bit of an arch in your lower back, maintained so that we have a neutral spine, because if you flatten it out too much, that's actually gonna put pressure on those nerve roots, okay? So you wanna maintain the neutral spine, and you can have your leg resting against, like the door frame with your other foot in the doorway, right? And then put your head on a pillow and stay there for 2 to 5 minutes, on the side that's symptomatic. And then really you should do both sides, because sometimes, the side that's symptomatic is the victim, not the cause. So you might really need to do both. But I've often seen people with nerve root impingement issues, if they do that stretch for the low back, then if they do it every day, after a week or 2, symptoms are better, just from doing that, and a couple other things, okay? And then same thing with the neck. Just doing this, they get relief, just by doing it throughout the day.
Can you use like the wall, like get up, back up against the wall to do that exercise?
Yeah, the chin tuck
Yeah,
exercise.
chin tuck,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
And a big part of why that works well, if we go to the next slide, or soon, coming up, there's gonna be a slide. It's probably, not that one, let's keep going. Well, I wanna show you guys the muscles that we're working with the neck, so you can keep going.
Okay.
So myofascial tightness, we've talked quite a bit about. There's a bunch of different ways to treat it. Let's move to the next slide. This is an important point. The pain going down your leg might not be sciatica. It could be coming from areas of high electrical activity, from muscle imbalances that are causing your fascia to tighten to hold you, and then that's causing pain going down your leg. And this is a really key one. We're gonna go to the next slide. Keeping Javier on his toes. The iliopsoas, hip flexor. All right, I constantly hear people say, my hip flexors are tight, I need a stretch. Well, they're probably not tight. 9 times out of 10, they're taut. The reason they're taut is they're exhausted because they're doing everybody's job. Your hip flexors, for your back, the hip flexors are gonna be the ones that are gonna be trying to carry the load if the other little muscles that stabilize your back are not doing their job correctly. And so it's gonna always feel tight, you're always gonna be stretching it, it's gonna keep coming back. And so a really important thing that you can do is learn how to build in the right muscle balance, and those 4 exercises, we're gonna go over those in just a second. All right, so let's move to the next slide. Anatomy Trains is a concept. Thomas Myers, if you want to look at a good read, if you're interested in learning more about the body and kind of doing a deep dive, Thomas Myers is an anatomist who looked at the body from how the fascia and the connects muscles together, where for hundreds of years we've been looking at how do muscles connect to bones, and so we've been thinking about the body in that way. But he, about 20 years ago, started going, hey guys, fascia's connecting muscles to each other too, we might want to think about that. So a lot of the more advanced therapists are using these concepts, and Melt is based on a lot of his theories and ideas. There's been a bunch of research. One really important point is that the bottoms of your feet, if you do self-myofascial release to the bottoms of your feet, it will release your lower back, your hamstrings, and your neck.
Oh, wow.
And the reason is because right here, you can see this slide right here, we have fascia holding muscles together all the way from the bottom of your foot all the way to your base of your head, and actually you can't quite see it here, but it comes around. There's a little, it's hard to see on the slide, but the fascia goes over the top of your head. It comes over the top of your head to your eyebrows. So there's a specialty physical therapy technique that I do. I'll come a little closer for the people online that I've learned, where I put my hand on someone's forehead and I glide it in certain ways, find where it's restricted and hold, and then release it, and it will release back pain.
It's amazing. She done that with you? Yeah.
So
She done it with me.
yeah, so it's crazy. It's
But
cool.
even foot melt, I can hear little ticks sometimes, and then it's releasing it.
In your neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely. So foot melt in your little, for those of you guys who came to the clinic, we have these bags, these welcome bags, and there's a little ball in there. It's a melt ball. And if you'd like to learn how to use it, then you can contact my office. We'll send you the instructions on how to use it. You can also come to a class, and it's $1, just $1 to attend to a week of classes. So it's a great way to give it a try. All right.
Well, you have nothing to lose.
All right, let's go
2
to
years
the next,
later.
Yeah, 2 years later. Let's go to the next slide. I'm
We're
looking
in
for
for the
that
long
slide.
haul.
I want to show you guys the neck stuff. So we talked about stretching doesn't always solve feelings of tightness. Okay, let's keep going. So this slide shows a bunch of tools to help with mobility. We talked about vibration tools. There's also, and somebody's going to win this today. It's a instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization tool. All right, this thing is magic. I keep it in my pocket and I use it all day at work. But I also, it's stainless steel and it's easy to clean. All right, and so for those of you guys online, looks like that. Okay, it's also called a gua sha. All right, but the way that we use the gua sha for anywhere in your body, all kinds of pain and problems, is different than if you've ever been to physical therapy where you kind of got bruised and they used a metal tool. Then they did it not in the instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization way, iStem. iStem has been shown in research to be more effective than the other kinds of tools and other kinds of ways that end up kind of bruising people. So if they bruised you, it's not the most effective way to use a metal tool. And here, we use a metal tool, we don't bruise people, but it's really effective, okay? And there's a whole theory as to why bruising would be acceptable therapeutically, but I disagree. And there's other ways that aren't as painful and don't bruise people. So anyway, someone's gonna win this, and then we have, if you win and you want to know how to use it, we have videos and instructions on how to use it for neck pain, back pain, knee pain, stuff like that. I love it, I use it on myself all the time. And also our newbie is really good for stiffness. It helps balance the brain when the brain is out of connection with the body, and that can contribute to pain, can turn on muscles. And it's also really good just for releasing fascia. That's been nice because it's saving my hands. So sometimes people have tight fascia and I just have to put the newbie on, it releases the tight fascia, which is pretty sweet. And you can use a vibrating ball. So if you ask us for instructions, more instructions on vibration, if you read that vibration handout, if you're online and if you'd like one, contact my office. Vibrating ball is great because if you use it laying down in bed or laying down on the couch, it's going to vibrate the surface you're on plus vibrate you. And for those of you guys who are from an era where there was vibrating beds, right? So that was a cool idea. That was good. And so anyways, you can kind of bring it back with your vibrating ball. And there's specific ways to unlock the fascia with these special keys. And so if you contact us, we can get you that information.
So are these all different ways of kind of unlocking the same things, or are they different tools used for different things?
Great question. So if your mobility didn't improve with one tool,
You try different.
you need a different one.
Got it.
You know, and believe me, I'm always on a mission to figure out what's the fastest way
Sure.
to resolve people's pain and problems, and that's what we really are good at here. And so I have a pretty good handle on what's going to work most cases and most of the time. But if you're not too sure and you have all the tools at home, just like try one thing and then the next, and till you get the relief. And if you're not getting relief, it might be something that you need a therapist to help identify and point you in the right direction. All right, yeah, great question. Okay, so because they all do different things,
Right.
they affect it in different ways.
Right.
All right, so we're going to go to the next slide. So I love this shiatsu foot massager, and many of you guys have it. For those of you who don't, you can get it on Amazon, and it is a way to kind of get the same effect of melting your feet, but super passive. I have one in my living room. I sit with my feet on it every night, and so it's going to help release your back, release your neck, and it helps digestion. It helps shift you more into a calm state, so you're going to sleep better, and you're going to also have more relaxation, just not have as much tension. It's something nice you can do for yourself. And that's, again, going to, some people just aren't doing enough of the recovery type of things. And this is a simple way to get some recovery stuff in.
How long?
It's about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so some people put it at their desk at work, just under their feet. So you can do that too. Sometimes I go for an extra 15, go a full 30 minutes on that thing. All right, let's go to the next slide. So that shiatsu foot massager is a awesome thing. I melt my feet like once a week, and I do that every single day.
Melt, which is
The
melt.
foot melt. So that's the little soft ball that you got since you came here. Yeah. So yeah, there's a whole sequence, a specific sequence to do with the foot melt that will unlock your hamstrings, for those tight hamstrings in the room. And it'll unlock your ankles, your knees, your back, and your neck. And I honestly rarely teach stretching, because if we have the right muscle balance and if we have the right fascia mobility, and at a cellular level, everything's moving well, which all those tools that I showed you there do. Also frequency specific microcurrent, our eye care tool is phenomenal for fascia mobility. So this is a electrical pulse electromagnetic field. It runs off of an iPhone or a pad, like a tablet. And there's programs on here that improve fascia mobility. There's programs for arthritis that reduce arthritis pain because they're anti-inflammatory. I love this thing. I take them home and I use like 4 of them on me at night while I sleep. I've got my own bed going. but yeah, I often use it throughout the day too for various things. So it's really a great tool. Okay, so Barefoot Science insoles. So good for back pain, so good for neck pain, because they actually strengthen your feet. So all the other insoles out there are like crutches. They're just enabling your feet to be weak, and you're gonna always need them. But Barefoot Science insoles are gonna strengthen your feet over a period of time, and then you're gonna have stronger feet, so you won't need them all the time. But it really does help people's pain in their hips and in their back, even their neck. So highly recommend. Yeah, Rachel says, I got those. Yeah, I mean, everybody that gets them is happy with them, I'll tell you, for sure.
It's
Barefoot Science insoles.
Okay, Barefoot Science.
Most people need the Therapeutic Plus. Most people need that one. So if you're not sure, see a specialist physical therapist that knows about them. I'm one.
Shout out to me.
I can help.
You never know.
Plugging myself.
Don't mind if I do. All right, we're going to go to the next slide. I really am here to help you guys. All right, posture problems are a common contributor. So you could be doing all the best exercises, all the best stretches. You could be using all the right tools, and you could keep having the same stupid pain because maybe when you're at your workstation, you're looking left more than you're looking right. That's a common problem, right? If you've got a 2-screen setup, I can't tell you the number of times I ask people about their screen setups. I'm like, man, their neck is always stuck to the left. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm always looking left. I'm like, okay, well, stop that. Look left half the day, then move the screen. You know,
Right, yeah.
you gotta change it. You gotta change it. Also, research has shown that if you're sitting for more than 30 minutes at a time at your workstation, then you're contributing to problems with your digestive system, problems with your neck and your back. So it's good to get up every 30 minutes or so. Some studies say every 8 minutes, but that's kind of hard to
That's
do.
a little.
So like 30 minutes.
That's
you know?
even hard, but
Sit
yeah.
for 30 minutes. It's even hard for the 30 minutes, but sit for 30 minutes, then stand. You know, try to get a station set up where you can easily do that. And if you forget, set a timer. It's so important. Start doing that, you're gonna have less problems. All right, let's move to the next slide. I can't tell you, I've had people with neck pain, carpal tunnel. We just fixed their workstation, and the pain literally goes away. They don't need therapy anymore because they just fixed their workstation. So if your workstation's not ergonomic, big problem, needs to get fixed. And on our YouTube channel, we have 2 videos on how to set up a sitting station, how to set up a standing station correctly. So if you have questions about it, just go there and check it out. All right, so let's do something to help our posture by just doing some deep breathing. Let's all do it together. And let's stand up, we've all been sitting. Yeah. I know, for those with back pain, it's a long time. I had you guys sitting longer than 30 minutes. It's, you know, not cool. All right, so here we go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an exercise that helps your neck, helps your back, and it's simple, anyone can do it. If you, for some reason, cannot stand, then do it seated, okay? So what we're gonna do is, if you're standing, let your tension come out of your knees, okay? All right, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna breathe in, raise your arms up, and then breathe out, and bend your knees. Okay, then breathe in, raise your arms up, breathe out, bend bend your knees. When you straighten out your knees, don't hyperextend them, just straighten them. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay, and then we're gonna go the opposite way. We're gonna go up this way, breathing in and breathing out. You just let your knees stay loose. We're not gonna hyperextend them. Breathing in and breathing out. And what's really best, if we want to turn on our vagus nerve, is for us to exhale longer than we inhale. So a good way to do it is to just breathe out for 8 seconds, breathe in for 4, or you could breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. Those kinds of things will help turn on the vagus nerve, which shift you more into the side of the nervous system that's going to help you heal better. Okay? As far as the core 4 exercises for your spine, so one of them is that cranial cervical flexion exercise that we did earlier today, because by stabilizing your neck, you're going to actually strengthen your back as well. And by the way, don't you guys worry about the cough happening over here in the room. She has allergies, so she's
I
done pretty well today. So I'm like used to Karen and her cough.
know. Last weekend I was around a cat, so I'm still
So the other exercise we're gonna do, I wanna cover quickly, is we're gonna sit for this one, and we're gonna turn on our butt. So a lot of back pain happens from lazy butt. So if your butt is weak and sleepy, then your back is not going to be well supported. And there's lots of research that if you can strengthen your lats at the same time that you strengthen your butt, so the muscles over here at the same time as the muscles over here, you're going to do a lot of good for your back. So one of my favorite exercises for this, and there's all kinds of variations, right? So if you're in a wheelchair or your mobility is really limited, then you can still do this seated. So you can be sitting down, and if I'm sitting, I'm gonna squeeze my butt on this side, right? I'm gonna pull on the opposite side and push my foot down into the floor. Okay, so imagine I'm sitting while I'm doing this, right? If I'm not in a wheelchair, if I'm fairly mobile, there's all kinds of variations to this. So I could stand on one foot and do it, right? I could do a lunge, like a mini lunge. Okay, so working that X chain is really important. And the other thing that people who come to our classes, because we have fitness classes that are designed by me and taught by a physical therapist, designed by me with taught by a fitness trainer, designed by me and the trainer together to come up with a system, right, to create balance for people. So this is another good exercise. So this is one of the core 4, head up. And this is the hardest version of it.
Yes.
Okay. So
My feet are on the
yeah,
floor.
keeping your head straight ahead. Right now, a simpler version would be to have your toe down while you do this. Okay. An even simpler version would be to sit and do it. Right. So there's all kinds of versions, but it's really important. Research showed loading from above and challenging a little bit of rotation is really helpful. We have to watch that if you've had a spinal fusion. So we need to modify it for spinal fusion, people who've had that. So if that's you, don't do this exercise, but contact us and we'll give you a different one. Okay? Very simply, one simple way for those who've had spinal fusion, because it could be a significant number of people in the room, would be to do one and then the other like this, right? So you're still working the stabilizing muscles, but without all of that rotation that could potentially irritate. All right, so
it's harder than it looks.
yeah, yep.
Well, and if your balance isn't great, you get to hold on to the bar.
That's right. Yep. Another thing that's really good to do is seated. You can. I'll do it here, so I have a chair in front of me.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna do is we're gonna
think
put.
they can see through Karen.
Okay.
No offense,
No,
Karen.
I can
Oh,
move.
okay, actually, here, I'll steal your chair. There.
Yeah,
sit
no
right
worries.
there.
I'm good.
All right, so I'm gonna. So
Sorry.
this is so seated. You're gonna push your foot into the ground, squeeze your butt. Okay. Pull your heel back towards you without sliding. Try it, and then lift your leg up. Okay, and then relax everything. So this is a really basic version of it, but guess what? It's a great hack to use on an airplane if you're starting to get an achy back. And so what it's gonna do is turn on all the muscles that stabilize your spine, okay? All the key muscles.
Feel this in the
You feel it in your
glute,
butt.
glute,
That's right.
glute.
So if you put your hands on the back, on like your lower back, and you're gonna stretch out one leg. So when you push your foot into the ground and squeeze your butt and pull your heel back without sliding on that right side, I've got my right leg bent, then what should happen is your back should kind of push back into your hands here. That's how you know you're doing it right, okay? So it's moving your pelvis back into a rotation, and then you're lifting this leg on this side to help activate the core, okay? So this is a really key exercise, and there's all kinds of variations of it. And later on in this, I just put a bunch of slides of different exercises if anybody's curious and wants to try them. But core 4 would be the hamstring powered pelvic tuck, which is this one. The balance reach, balance reach, which is this one. What's that?
This one I
said
do,
that's a
I
little
do
hard
this
on the
all
plane.
the
You
time.
do it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good.
I was yesterday in church, at Memorial, I was doing it.
Nice.
I
And
can do it
then
anywhere,
the
no one
chin tuck.
knows.
The chin
My
tuck
back hurts.
is the third one. And then the fourth one is called the functional core trainer exercise. And this one does a lot, all in one exercise. So you get a band, and I'm about to break it, I can see. And then you're gonna sit tall, right? And slide opposites,
Oh.
okay? Like this. All right, so I'm sliding my foot on the ground, and you're gonna feel that activates your butt, your hamstrings, okay? And if I wanted to make it even more challenging, then what I could do is I could add in another element to work more of my body. And this is good for neck stability, but you'd have to start with a really light band or you can injure your neck, especially if you have neck pain. So you're gonna go, it takes coordination, which is great for your brain. Like this. I have to like this.
And you were coordinated, just think about the rest of us.
Right? Okay. So this exercise, doing this movement builds stability for your neck. Okay. Plus bicep. And then going back, it works that X chain I was talking to you guys about. All right. So this does a lot of things all in one. If you try it at home, you're gonna go, whoa! I feel it in my whole body. Okay. And a key thing for neck stability. This is like a bonus because I did my core 4, but here's a bonus: external rotation, some kind of external rotation activity, right? And you got to really also make sure you're working serratus to help stabilize your neck. So serratus anterior helps you with this kind of motion, okay? So when you do rows, a lot of people think you should just go here like this. But I've worked with professional athletes who are in the gym doing their rows like this, and their shoulder and neck hurts, and it's unstable. I'm like, you know why? Because you're not working your serratus anterior with that movement very well at all. So you should go all the way out and come all the way back. All right? So that's a simple way to help with that. And also when you do any kind of pressing, you should do the same thing. Like push-ups, if you always do your push-ups just like here, you're not working serratus anterior, add a plus into it. Here, here,
Oh.
okay? And that's gonna help your shoulders and your neck.
And also positioning too, as far as angle of where.
Yeah,
Yes,
and the
there's
positioning
some-
effects
It's doing
too.
a row.
You can
I'm
be
doing
in
a row,
here,
row.
different, yeah.
Okay.
Because serratus anterior works down here,
Okay.
here, and here.
Okay, so it's not full
So
range.
you wanna, it's all through here.
Okay.
So yeah, to have a balanced serratus anterior, which means balanced shoulders and a happy neck. And you wanna do low rows, middle rows, and rows in this range, and not just only up here. Yeah, all right, so I could keep going on and on. But I think I gave you guys enough to chew on.
That's a lot of good info.
Yeah,